The Second Battle of Fallujah was some of the most intense urban fighting that took place since the Battle of Hue City in Vietnam. Fallujah's sprawling cityscape was 25 square kilometers. It had a population between 250,000 to 300,000. As you can see, clearing this dense urban landscape was no easy task, and after an 8-day period, one tank commander reported spending 1,600 main gun rounds, 121,000 7.62mm machine gun rounds, and over 49,000 50 caliber machine gun rounds. A platoon's weapons commander reported that his assault teams on average used 6 explosive satchel charges, 3 cases of Bangalore torpedoes to clear IEDs, and 10 shoulder-launched weapons daily. That's not to mention the countless artillery rounds and air-to-ground munitions from both aircraft and AC-130s. 6 Days in Fallujah attempts to bring that to life in this harrowing conflict that took place during the Iraq War. It is the only modern combat game that displays the use of urban combat in a modern setting. It focuses on telling the stories of both American soldiers and the civilians that lived the battle, because not all the civilians evacuated. There were still some 30,000 left in the city of Fallujah at the time of this conflict. I would like to thank the developers at Highwire Games for sending me a copy of this game, and as always, I did receive this game for free, so please take that into consideration as I provide you with both my first impressions and some facts on the Second Battle of Fallujah. As always, there's a ton of resources down below that I've collected for you guys and for your further reading. If you're interested in the Second Battle of Fallujah, they'll be in the description below. They'll be between 5 and 15. Check them out. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and click that join button because reading those 188-page documents, while fun, is quite time consuming. 6 Days in Fallujah, while playable as a single player, is designed around multiplayer. I played it single player, and at times it was extremely challenging. Although I did have quite a lot of fun, like breaching compounds, getting in intense firefights, and really engaging the enemy. Overall, it's a good, intense urban combat first-person shooter or tactical simulator. The game is still in early access. I believe they have a roadmap out already, and their next update should be around fall, and it should add a few new quality of life features, as well as new modes, and I believe a new map. One thing that I found really cool and interesting, and it kind of mirrors the Second Battle of Fallujah, is how the insurgents or guerrilla forces interact with the coalition forces on the battlefield. Early on in the Second Battle of Fallujah, the insurgent force learned that the US forces, or going toe-to-toe with the US forces in the streets, was basically a death sentence. Due to their overwhelming firepower, the US forces had all kinds of combined arms operations going on at the time. They had tanks on the battlefield, and infantry fighting vehicles, artillery, aircraft, UAV. So anytime that the guerrilla forces or the insurgent forces would engage the US out in the open, they would basically be destroyed. So what you're doing in this game is basically urban combat, clearing room to room. You do have some intense firefights in the streets, and I feel like those are the more standout moments in this game, and not so much the building clearing or that sort of thing. And that's where I would like the Second Battle or 6 Days in Fallujah to start working on. Those standout moments, the tense street-to-street fighting, the urban combat, a lot of that is really fun, but where it starts to bog down a little bit is when you're room clearing. You kind of lose momentum, and the AI generally has the drop on you, which makes sense due to it being urban combat. They're behind barricades, it's dark, and those are all things that the coalition forces had to deal with. But in a video game setting, you do need to keep that momentum going. And maybe if I played it multiplayer, I would still feel that momentum, but at times it felt like it slowed quite a bit, and it was a bit frustrating. Another thing that I really wanted to talk about with regards to both 6 Days in Fallujah as well as the Second Battle of Fallujah is the intelligence operations and preparations that took place during, before, and after the Second Battle of Fallujah. As part of the preparation process, the coalition forces identified insurgent concentrations, command and control nodes, checkpoints, fighting positions, points of observation, sniper position, roadblocks, weapon caches, and earth berms. All of those were discovered well in advance, so you weren't just running into like a bar fight and just figuring it out as you go. And I feel like 6 Days in Fallujah, they do provide you with a map, they do provide you with some overlay of the land, And they do actually input all those berms, the observation points, snipers, and all of those things bring this game to life. And it's just really cool that all of that was included in this game. At the time of recording this video, I've dumped around 3.5 to 4 hours into 6 Days in Fallujah. I spent a good portion of my day researching or looking up information on the second battle of Fallujah. And I've never once felt bored playing this game, and I never felt like it wasn't unrealistic in some aspects. I do have a few issues with it, and I'll explain those later on. But overall, it's a fun, enjoyable experience. And if you have a good group of friends who enjoy tactical shooters or tactical first-person shooters, or even just first-person shooters in general, you'll definitely find something here that you'll enjoy, that you'll like, you'll love. The game runs perfectly fine. It's definitely improved. There's not a lot of stuttering, or there's no stuttering at all. But a lot of my issues with it are very, very minor, and I'm going to cover those here in this next part of the video. So now we're moving on to the first impressions portion. I've explained all the good that's within 6 Days in Fallujah. Now I'm going to talk about the bad. Not so much the bad, just more like the frustrating. So it's primarily a multiplayer-based game. One thing that I would like to see changed, and this is just more being nitpicky, is the intro video. You're forced to watch it. So I smashed in the escape key, the space button, as well as I believe the left click on the mouse button, and I could not skip that scene. So as you're playing, you're always watching that over and over and over and over again. And I mean, it's cool the first 3 times, but once you see all 4 of them or all 5 of them, it's just tedious at that point and a bit redundant. Now, this is just my personal preference, but I feel like the blood sweeps, and I'm going to talk about the blood sweeps, is implemented very poorly. It reminds me of like a mechanic that locks your character down during an animation. So when you get shot or you're wounded or you think you're shot, you need to perform a blood sweep, which sounds really cool. It sounds really realistic, but the issue becomes it's like a static animation. So once it starts, you can't stop that animation until it's complete. So you'll be in like intense firefights, and if you stop moving, your character will look down and start sweeping his arms and his legs, and you're like, bro, I'm getting shot at right now. Stop. And so you kind of get stuck in this you're not stuck. You can start moving again, and he stops it. But unfortunately, you can't stop permanently. So you're always just stuck in there until you complete that animation. The AI needs some work. It definitely needs some work. They know where you are a lot of the time. Like, you'll watch this clip right here, and I'm looking at this guy. I look to this door, and then he immediately turns and shoots me. Watch. It's very, very not fun. As always, guys, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you want to see more 6 Days in Fallujah. Have a wonderful day. Peace.